Time now for the Geek Show right here on the Radio Wammo show on Kiwi with Ms. Behaviour today. It's number 5 in the latest series. G'day there, Ms. B.
Good morning, Wammo.
Good morning. Today we're talking about alternatives to PayPal when paying online.
We are indeed, yes, because PayPal are up against an anonymous boycott at the moment. The hacktivists that call themselves anonymous, who have a long history of picking, organisations to basically attack for various reasons, have now put their sights onto PayPal.
Now, what has PayPal done wrong?
Well, what they're unhappy about is the fact that PayPal have got a history of freezing certain accounts due to the fact that they say that they fall foul of their terms and conditions. Now, the one that Anonymous is particularly upset about is the fact that they have money that they're holding at the moment which has been donated to WikiLeaks, but they're refusing to pass the money on to WikiLeaks, which you could say is quite a political move on PayPal's part.
Yeah.
And this is the concern, this is the worry that PayPal has got. So as an online payment system, it was one of the early ones. It's now owned by eBay. It's a huge mechanism. It's the first one people think of, really, when you talk about doing online payment systems.
They have a lot of power, don't they?
They have an enormous amount of power. And it's not just around the WikiLeaks one. It seems to be quite arbitrary. And, like, for example, and this is just reading through the Twitter feed about, some of the comments that people have been making using the hashtag #PayPal.
Yeah.
The fact that also recently is that they've been refusing to donate money that people have been donating to support people in Burma because the Burma government is refusing to take donations.
Huh.
There are quite a lot of cases when you start to look into this of charities having their accounts frozen and money withheld, and yet, for example, they seem quite happy to support the Ku Klux Klan's donations. So,
crikey.
I think this is the main issue, that they've become too powerful. They are almost a monopoly, and with that becomes a lot of responsibility, and these decisions that they're making do seem to be stepping into the political arena.
Yeah.
So they sort of picked up on Anonymous's radar. Last year, Anonymous did a denial of service attack on the PayPal blog, which went down in December.
Yeah.
And since then, there's been a bit of an online war of words. But the recent developments, which has got Anonymous very upset, so we're now waiting with bated breath to see what they do next, is PayPal have given the FBI in the US 1,000 IP addresses or Internet Protocol addresses of people that they say are anonymous hacktivists. And there's just been 14 arrests, with more we're expecting. And the suspects are facing $500,000 fines and up to 15 years in jail. And there's no evidence that they actually are part of the anonymous group.
Just an IP address.
Yeah, this is right. So you can see that, there are some concerns over the fact that these organisations are becoming a little bit too powerful and a little bit too political.
Yeah, and I suppose besides all that, it's good to have other choices, right?
Absolutely. So right now, if you're interested in tracking what's happening in that area, you can look at the hashtag on Twitter, either just PayPal or PayPal, OPPAYPAL, which is what people are using to track the protests. But there are alternatives to PayPal out there. Now, there's the standard ones. There's one called Paymate.com, which I know is available in New Zealand and Australia. So that's like a PayPal clone. Works very similar way. You've also got Google Checkout and Amazon Payments. So they're two large, well-known organisations who also have online payment systems. But there's also some really new, interesting tools coming along, which are taking a completely different tack to the way that payments are being made. So one which popped up on my radar a few months back was Square, so like the word square, which accepts payments with your mobile phone or iPad.
Okay. How does that work?
Well, what it does is when you use the Square system, you get a pocket-sized credit card reader that connects to your phone's audio jack, and it turns your phone or your iPad into a portable credit card reader, or kind of like an FPOS machine.
Huh.
Now, they're actually processing up to $4 million in mobile payments a day now. So that's, significant growth. So it's not fresh out the block. This has been around for some time, and a lot of people are now moving across to this. And I think this is the trend. I think this is where things are going, because There's been another, so if you want to check out Square, go to squareup.com.
Is it available in New Zealand?
I'm not sure yet. I think it might be Northern America right now, but it's pretty definite that they're going to be rolling out globally because, this is the key. They want to have global payment systems using mobile phones. And there's another one which hasn't been launched yet, but there's a lot of excitement in the tech media about this, which is called Jumio, Jumio. And its tips are launched soon, so it's in that coming soon tag. But there's been, it was in stealth mode for a while, but it's now been announced. And what they've got is what they call a net swipe system, which is their little name for this new way of doing things, which will turn any webcam or internet-connected camera into a secure credit card payment system.
Oh, wow.
So your webcam itself or your mobile phone camera becomes the reader for your credit card.
So you'd hold your credit card up to the camera?
To the camera, swipe it in front of the camera, and they've got this secure system set up to basically take, in a secure, controlled way, take payments.
You've got to wonder, though, because you know how they introduced those chips to credit cards? They're saying that is more secure than the magnetic strip on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're still working out how they're going to make it safe and secure, but there's been some serious players who are putting money and their time into this system. So if you want to have a look around and just see what's coming, it's called Jumio, Jumio. And I think that to me, this is where things are going to go. I really think the idea of sitting in front of a computer, getting out your credit card, tapping the numbers in, I think that's old school. So I think this way of turning your mobile devices into payment systems on the go, I really think that's where things are going to move.
Now this is the Geek Show, Ms. B.
Yes.
So we've got to get really geeky on this and get really alternative.
Absolutely. If you want to get really out there, there's also a thing which has been around for a little while called Bitcoin, which it's open source. So this is the sort of the geeks' way of coming up with a new currency system. And it's an open source peer-to-peer payment system which is calling itself the world's first decentralized digital currency. So if you're interested in finding out a bit more, you can go to their site, which is weusecoins.com. And it's a little complicated. I mean, basically coins, or tokens as they call them, they're transferred directly between person to person, so that's the whole peer-to-peer idea. One person transfers credits to another person. There's no central bank system, which means that fees would be kept low. There's no way that anyone can freeze your accounts because of terms and conditions, so that gets over that issue. And anyone can generate bitcoins by running a free application called a Bitcoin miner, which you can download from their site. And there's a finite number of bitcoins that can be generated, and they're generated by your computer processing power, running this system, which over time generates bitcoins.
But is it doing anything productive?
Well, it's a little complicated, and I'll be perfectly honest, I'm still a little fuzzy about how it works exactly. I mean, I've watched the clip, and I kind of get the basis of, you can generate them and you can trade them, and that's all pretty obvious. But the actual it's actually generated through your computer's processing power. So we looked into it. Calvin looked into it a little while ago, and he worked out the fact that the amount of electricity and computer cycles that we would need to generate wouldn't be worth the amount of bitcoins that we could get. But if you're the sort of person who's got large spare capacity, for example, you might have a render farm, spare computers which aren't processing constantly, it might be worth looking into. There's already currency trading sites which let you convert bitcoins into old world currency such as dollars and euros. And there is a growing online Bitcoin economy. But there is a direct cost because you've got to have your computer cranking out this logarithm that it's running to generate them, and it takes time. And so one of the funny...
You think you'd be doing something productive for someone somewhere by them using your computer power, surely? Like how, like folding, what do you call them, folding stuff for cancer?
Yeah,
Folding proteins and
yeah,
whatnot.
absolutely. I mean, there's been quite a long tradition of people donating their spare processing cycles. So when the computers aren't busy, you've got places like NASA. I think SETI was using this years ago, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, whereby they were distributing the processing to people's computers. So people going, yeah, I've got some spare capacity, so when I'm not using my computer, NASA can take over the extra cycles. So that's been running for some time, like you said, with protein folding and space exploration and all these cool things. But yeah, it's a really interesting model, and I can see where they're going with it. I don't think it would be for your average person in the street with just one computer. It is quite a geeky, area. But there have been some funny stories, because obviously if your computer is cranking, output and it's working at full capacity, you're going to get electricity spikes, aren't you?
Well, you are, yeah.
And there's been some funny reports, unconfirmed so far, but some funny reports from America where there've been cases of Bitcoin farmers getting raided by the DEA looking for marijuana grow operations because the spikes in their electricity have been very suspicious. So, you've just got these hilarious sort of images in your head of, like, these Bitcoin farmers, these geeks, sitting around and their computers cranking away with the Bitcoin, and suddenly there's this big bang at the door and all these DEA agents come storming in looking, where's the pot? Where's the pot? And, of course, there is none, because they're growing Bitcoin and not pot.
Like, what's a Bitcoin? Okay.
So I just thought that's absolutely hilarious. But the thing is, going back to the original point, PayPal is just one of many systems.
Yeah.
It's an old school system. There are alternatives. So whatever your political views about, PayPal's stance on, donations to Burma or donations to WikiLeaks, they're not the only player out there anymore. And it, remains to be seen how effective this anonymous campaign is going to be. But reports are coming out that the share price of eBay, which is the owner of PayPal, are starting to drop. And I think we will see this. I think, it's quite likely in the near future that we'll start to see a direct response to this hacktivism in company share prices, because when people get upset, they have this amazing mechanism now for telling the world about it.
Indeed. All right, well, you can find out a whole lot more up at thegeekshow.com, 2 3s rather than 2 E's, and see this as a video once more as well. Thanks, Ms. B.
Great.
Time now here on Kiwi is 9.